In response to the mass shooting, some lawmakers are pushing for stricter gun control measures. Pushback on the gun control measures caused one senator to take to the Senate floor for nearly 15 hours. The filibuster ended early this morning when Senate Republicans agreed to allow a vote on gun control measures. The Senate will now vote on a bill that would make background checks universal, closing the so-called gun show loophole, and bar suspected terrorists from buying guns. The filibuster and proposed bill are responses to Sunday's mass shooting where Omar Mateen was able to buy weapons despite previously being on the FBI's terror watch list. So whenever Congress debates on gun control, gun sales tend to go up. But before jumping to conclusions, it's a good idea to get a handle on the laws and how the reforms being proposed could impact you. Edwin Walker is a gun law expert and joins us now here on the phone. Edwin, thank you for joining us. So many people here in Nebraska want to make sure their right to bear arms isn't violated. These two measures, banning people on the government terror watch list from obtaining a gun license and the other to expand background checks, especially online. Do these infringe on our rights, do you think?
Well, certainly the one about adding people, forbidding people who are on the quote-unquote terror watch list from purchasing a firearm from a licensed dealer would be, because that proposal, while it sounds great, I mean, if you just throw the question out there, hey, should suspected terrorists be able to lawfully purchase firearms? Everybody would go, no. But if you look at it, what you're talking about is you're, in reality, talking about taking away a person's ability to purchase a firearm, their lawful ability to purchase a firearm, simply because a government bureaucrat has chosen to put them on a list in the absence of any due process whatsoever. And that's why the current restrictions about who can purchase a gun from a federal firearms dealer are based upon objective determinations that the person is disqualified. People who've been convicted of felonies, people who've been convicted of acts of domestic violence, people who've been adjudicated as being mentally incompetent.
So explain a little bit more what seems to be a common misunderstanding when it comes to gun control laws.
Oh, wow. Where do you start? I mean,
Right.
There is a laundry list of common misunderstandings. One of the ones that you initially spoke of is the gun show loophole. There is no such thing as a gun show loophole. It doesn't exist. So whenever they talk about expanding background checks to close the gun show loophole, it goes to buy a gun at a gun show, and that gun is sold by a licensed federal firearms dealer, even if they are not in their shop, if they're just sitting at a table. That sale has to go through a background check. If the individual is attempting to purchase a gun, even from a private party, and they are residents of different states, that has to go through a background check. If you buy a firearm online and that gun is shipped to you in interstate commerce, it has to go through a background check. So there is no gun show loophole. There is no internet loophole. These are two of the biggest myths. And whenever the news media likes to quote, 90% of Americans are in favor of expanded background checks. If you ask the question, hey, should there be a background check before somebody buys a gun? Yes, 90% of the people are going to say yes, because there already are those background checks. However, if you pose the question as, hey, should a person who wants to sell a pistol to their best friend pay the government a fee to do that? I'm quite sure the result will be quite different, because that is the only firearms transaction in the United States that is not subject to a background check, because it involves intrastate commerce, not interstate commerce, and it's a private transaction engaged in by private individuals. So a person-to-person sale by non-licensed individual that takes place between residents of the same state is the only firearms transaction that is not regulated by the federal government. But that firearms transaction, since it occurs wholly within a single state, is regulated by many states. In fact, all states have laws that says you can't sell a firearm to a felon, you can't sell a firearm to a person convicted of domestic violence. These are laws that exist on a state-by-state basis. And so this proposal, which comes up every time there's a mass shooting, does nothing to add to the security of the United States from outside terror organization. It simply hampers the ability of private citizens to engage in a private intra-state sale.
And a lot
so
of this
that's one
too, a lot of this too is based on research, and you do a lot of this. I looked up, you have a Law Shield website, and you even have seminars where people can go and understand their rights a little bit more. And like you said, there's so many misunderstandings like this, and we get so confused sometimes, I think, even with social media. Where do we go if we want to find out more about what the laws are?
Yes. Well, I am a program attorney with a legal services company called U.S. Law Shield, and we have another group called Texas Law Shield. We are in many states across the United States, and one of our key principles is to provide people with accurate and complete gun law information and education. And people can look us up online at uslawshield.com or texaslawshield.com.
I think we could talk to you for the whole hour here, but we don't have time. So thank you so much for your time here, Edwin. And if you do have questions, again, you want to take a look at that site that we mentioned. This interview will be posted on our website later on here today. You can check that out at nebraska.tv.